Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Elephant Den. On this evening's episode, we will be discussing the film. Alex, can I please have the envelope? Thank you. The Whale. Welcome back to another episode of Elephant Den. It's Ashley.
And Alex.
Let's talk about The Whale, directed by Darren Aronofsky, written by Samuel D. Hunter, taken from his play as well. It stars Brendan Fraser, who plays the main character Charlie. We also have Hong Chow, who plays Liz, the caretaker. Sadie Sink, who plays the daughter of Charlie. And Ty Simpkins, who plays Thomas the missionary. This film is nominated for Best Actor for Brendan Fraser, Best Supporting Actress for Hong Chow, woo, and Best Makeup and Hairstyling. And those people are Judy Chin, Adrienne Morat, and Anne-Marie Bradley.
Excellent. And that's for the Academy Awards.
Sorry, yes.
That's the only thing you missed, but
yeah,
good job.
Thank you.
A brief synopsis for the film, as Ashley mentioned, it stars Brendan Fraser, whose character Charlie is a 600-pound English teacher. He's looking to rekindle a relationship with his estranged daughter. The film explores themes of grief and guilt, and it's been received with a contrasted response from audiences for its depiction of its morbidly obese lead.
Okay, so let's jump right into it because I have a few questions I want to ask you.
I can't wait.
So, obviously, we're excited. Brendan Fraser is starring in this new film.
Yeah.
I want to know why you think he was picked to play this role in this film. And do you think that the film benefited from having Brendan Fraser play Charlie?
I think the film The Whale, its biggest strength is Brendan Fraser, that they were able to cast him and the performance that he pulled off.
It grabbed a lot of attention to watch the film.
And I think that's something to mention. Obviously, Brandon has been out of the spotlight of Hollywood for quite a few years now. Many of us, especially our age, we grew up with him when we were kids in George of the Jungle and The Mummy. He was a big face in big action movies and family movies. So he was kind of a household name. Yeah. For sure.
He was in our childhood
And
movies.
then he disappeared, and we're not going to go into those reasons because that's his personal life and we don't even know all the details. But despite all that, everyone was very excited for Brandon to come back. And I think it's a testament to his nature as a sensitive, vulnerable, humble person. And I think it's very reflective in his performance and very parallel with the character of Charlie, who, not like Brandon, but there's very little to kind of like about Charlie if you just look at, you know, the physical state he's in, the state he's living in, and his whole situation. He really looks like he's given up on himself. However, he has not given up on other people. Right. And I think that likability, which Brandon has, Charlie has as well. And I think it's because of Brandon, is what I'm trying to say, which made it such a powerful,
more likable character.
Yes.
I could see that. So you've seen a lot of other Darren Aronofsky's films. I've only seen a few. Yeah. But what do you think about all of his other films and then comparing it to this film, The Whale? Like, where do you place this film amongst his other films?
Yeah. I kind of had a hard time with this film, and I do with a lot of Aronofsky's films. Besides the powerhouse performance by Brendan Fraser, which I really liked, I just didn't think the story had a lot to say or that it was that important of a story. Darren Aronofsky's films usually are like that, where they're very singular visions, one-handed notes where there's very obvious symbolism, metaphors, and allegory, like a film like Mother. And then there's other films of his which are much more grittier, darker, and surreal, like Requiem for a Dream or The Fountain. But because they're very obvious, one-noted stories, it kind of takes me out of it. You know, there's a lot of melodrama, which I don't like. This film was a little more grounded, and it reminded me of the only one of his films which I actually like quite a lot is The Wrestler, which stars Mickey Rourke. And these two films, The Wrestler and The Whale, go hand in hand because they're both led by powerhouse performances, and the performances reflect the real life actor's journey. So, in a way, in his filmography, this is one of my more favorites, but overall as a film and something I would revisit, I wouldn't necessarily, because to me, besides the performance, and there's a few performances in there which I really like that we'll talk about, but it's missing that depth for me.
Interesting, because these are very, like, I guess to some people, intense subjects, like you would say, grief and grief and guilt. Like, these are heavy emotions that people carry, and so
I just don't think the plot had enough going on to where it made it engaging enough, or that there was enough happening. Obviously, it's a very confined film. It takes place
in one
room, apartment,
basically.
and you're,
Which most theater plays are, because they have to be, right?
And it
so
works for that reason. But I don't know if thinking of it as a cinematic experience,
right.
I expect different. So I know they have to go for that, but that's just how I felt about it.
Right. No, I appreciate that. I want to go into the topic of what people are saying about this film, which it looks like there is a divided view on it. So why do you think people are divided on this film? And do you agree with those people who are upset?
By divisive, you're referring to this movie. First of all, it's an actor in a fat suit.
Right.
Is one way of putting it. And there are scenes which are those Aronofsky disturbing scenes of, binge eating. And that's when the score really is telling you how disturbing it is what you're seeing.
This film is also starting off with him masturbating.
Right.
And then his heart stopping. So.
Which I'm glad you're bringing up that scene, because it's the first scene and it immediately, I think the shot is from behind him. It's very vulnerable. It's us viewing in on him. We immediately understand that because he's watching gay porn. And there's nothing uncommon about that, right? In the privacy of your own home, people do those things. I think what makes it stand out to us as the audience is the physical state he's in, and how he can't even catch his breath. He almost has a heart attack while doing this. I think that adds to what's already a vulnerable sight, but that's what makes it disturbing. To answer your question, I think the film did a great job in its approach, as far as you're dealing with. There's people really like this, and this film shouldn't be made to exploit or make fun of their situation. And it doesn't do that. That's not how it's showing it. I think they had support while they were making the film by the producers and the higher ups. Positive reinforcement, which I know Frazier has been quoted saying that they were positive reinforcements to go ahead, keep doing what they're doing. And I know the director and both Frazier are happy with what they produced, and they stayed true with no guilt to what they were showcasing in this film. And I agree with them. I don't feel like there's any anyone should be offended by anything.
Yeah.
The mandate was that it was a costume that would obey physics, gravity, to differentiate it from all the films that we've seen over the years that really just cut a silhouette around an athletic actor. It was often used as some sort of pejorative joke. This is not that. This is a person. This is a person living with obesity. His mental health, his physical health is threatened as a result. So we had to get the makeup right. And I firmly believe that we did.
Do you think that the film was too excessive on some things?
Well,
like for example, the binge eating scene.
Right. It's a 600-pound man, so you know the way he must eat. And they showed it at one point near the end. Could the film have done without it? Sure. Mm-hmm. Was it an insult to have it? I don't think so. Even with the score flaring up and how excessive he was, he's really just like pouring jam on pizza, but you have to think of the situation prior. The pizza guy,
Gambinos,
who is this reoccurring character who we never see. He's almost like the voice of God. I think you could make that interpretation, to where he's this guy he's just delivering pizza, but he's constantly coming. He knows the routine to drop off the 2 pies, leave the 20.
Pies, pizzas.
Pizza pies. Pizzas
are
are pies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he knows the routine, but he starts to question if this man inside the apartment's okay. So he asks, "Are you okay?" And it's kind of like almost as if God is reaching out and asking, right? And you don't see him.
you sure you're doing okay?
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Have a good night, okay?
Near the end, after he delivers it, he decides to stay just by the porch and see who this person is. And Frazier eventually comes out to the door, and he sees, just by the sight of this morbidly obese man and the oxygen tank, he has like a gasp, or he mumbles, and he's taken aback. And it's one of those shattering moments in the film where you could tell this is Charlie's biggest fear. That's why he's never stepped out of the apartment, because he knows that's what most people will see him as. And I think that's when this character, the pizza guy, goes from being this, maybe godlike character to, it's just, no, this is what people are. Mm-hmm. And it was devastating, and it led to his binge eating, and it totally, I think it works.
It goes to show you that binge eating maybe was necessary to put in that film, because it is the reality of what people deal with. It's a stress tactic, right?
Overall, I don't think the film was offensive by any means. I don't think him wearing a fat suit, and again, that's just one way to call it, but it's prosthetics and makeup, which are fantastic. I've heard some people criticize that you don't feel the weight, or it doesn't look. I've completely believed it.
I've noticed throughout the film you were frustrated with Sadie Sink's character, Charlie's daughter.
Yeah.
She did come across, I agree, she did come across as a very angry, evil child, teenager.
Yeah. Her defense mechanism is to lash out.
Right. Did you think it was too excessive?
A little bit, and maybe I have a sensitivity to it, to where there was just so little empathy and understanding. To further the plot, we understand that Charlie has left his daughter and wife for a former student, to pursue a relationship with a former student, a man. And obviously there's abandonment issues the child is going through, and not having a father figure, this battle between the parents. She's at a delicate age. I think she's 16 or 17.
He's also not reaching out to her anymore, right?
Right.
So after 8 years old, she's cut off.
So that's all understandable. But there in the present, she just had so little empathy and was so horrible with him. Mm-hmm. And he is just so likable. And maybe this is just in this week span that we're seeing him in.
It's a short time frame.
It's a short time frame, and maybe he's acting different to how he was before. But again, they didn't have a relationship, and if all you ever wanted is to to have a relationship with your dad. Here's the chance. And she's she's giving no slack.
Right.
And that really bothered me. So unlikable. As much as you can and should empathize with their situation, it was frustrating. Performance was good.
Performance-wise, I think she did a good job in representing that character. If she made you feel those angry emotions, because it made
did.
me feel angry too.
It just
so.
Then I have a flaw with how she was written and the story. Again, it's the story where so many of these things didn't need to happen, right? Even Charlie, the character, he's very likable, but he has flaws in his empathy, where we find out that he's been hiding the money, his savings account, from Liz. You know, it's made her life so difficult caretaking for him, because he would have the means to have health insurance and some sort of, you know, better health care. And also just for her own, you know, Liz could have been better taken care of. And she mentioned something about getting a ride in a snowstorm, and he offered a ride, but she wouldn't take it because she didn't think he had any money to his name. And that could all be avoided with a little bit of honesty. And again, that's frustrating to me, because I have a hard time understanding why he had to hide that from Liz, especially.
But that's why I think the theme of this film was revealing the truth and being honest. Because a lot of, like, if from all characters that you see in this film, everyone was hiding a secret. Everyone had a secret. You could see that in the end, when all the secrets were revealed, it ended up being better for everybody.
That's a good lesson.
Right?
And I didn't think of it that way.
So the last question I had for you, Alex, would you like to discuss any scenes in this film that stood out to you?
The most, emotional part for, I think, most people was the end, or near the end, when he's kind of saying farewell. He knows the movie is like kind of a countdown to his death. So it's no secret. And that farewell he has to his caretaker, Liz, is very emotional. And she says she'll wait for him downstairs, where you assume it's for the ambulance. And
it made me cry.
Yeah, it definitely pulls on the heartstrings. And she had a great performance.
Amazing.
So genuine
So
and reserved, but when she had to be frustrated, you saw her frustration. They have a connection because her brother was Charlie's lover.
Mm-hmm. In the beginning of the film, the daughter asks her father, "If you really love me, walk to me." Yeah. And he stumbles, right? Yeah. And so in the end, it's him trying to walk to her.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to start crying.
Do it.
But yeah, no, it's him trying to walk to her, and then that's when he starts to fly away. So
yeah, no, that was well done.
So it was well done that they did those things. So
yeah. No, and the essay, I liked the meaning of the essay and how it's kind of interwoven, how it's this thing that he holds so dearly, and whenever he's feeling like he's about to go suddenly from a heart attack, he needs it to be read out to him, or he reads it out because it kind of grounds him again. And it's just his daughter's essay, this really genuine essay from a young person about Moby Dick. Honest, and that's all he wants. I love how it's not really clear what he's taking from the essay, but what you say, that's just honest. And it's like her, she's kind of, the author is hiding their own sad story, and she's kind of hiding her own sad story.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. I think the reason he held on to that essay so much was because it was the only thing that he found was completely honest in his whole entire life. Mm-hmm. And so that's why he held on to that hope and belief that his daughter was really a good person, even the mother being like, she's evil, she's a monster. Yeah. And he didn't agree with that because he had this 8-year-old girl's essay that he held on to and believed so dearly that was still her.
I'm really happy for Brendan Fraser, again, just being such a likable person. I think he has so much support, which is really great to see. I hope he gets more roles. Mm-hmm. This may be
the start of a new spotlight career. Who knows?
Maybe, who knows? Maybe this will be it because there's just so much anticipation where it may not get any bigger than this, but I hope he does get more roles.
I hope he does win that Oscar then if he doesn't do any
Yeah,
more
I hope
roles,
the
you know?
makeup, off the top of my head, I'm sorry, the other nominees I can't compare, but those were great. Her performance, Hong Chow, she was great.
She also plays in The Menu as
Yeah.
the hostess,
Yeah,
which
that
we
was cool
just
to
found
find out.
out, which is cool.
So, yeah, it was a good watch.
That wraps up everything I wanted to ask you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Alex.
Great questions.
That's a wrap on tonight's episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We always appreciate your views and your likes. If you've been enjoying our videos, please click the subscribe button down below and click the bell for notifications. You could also follow us on Instagram. We have an account called @AshleyandAlex. We also have an account on Letterboxd, which we will put down in the description below. Please follow us there to keep track of all the films that Alex and I like to watch. So once again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You're awesome. Why do I have a hard time saying that? Please click the please. You pointed and laughed at me. You said under God.